I'm just going to take you through the process of creating a simple web panel to control routing in RouteMaster. So I'm going to use Rascular Helm to build a web panel. I've got RouteMaster VR here, which is running as NDI router. So I'm seeing my preview window on the left and my output window on the right. So let's just get started with building a web panel. First thing I need to know is what is the URL of the RouteMaster system. So the thing I need to really look at is what the port number is that we're connecting to. I'm going to say view client info here. I want to look at the web panel clients, and it'll show me that they're unconnected, but it's showing me the port number 8100. So let's just go to Helm. So Helm is our tool for designing control panels. First thing I need to do is add an icon for the RouteMaster system. So I'll find it under Routers, Rascular RouteMaster, and I need to enter the WebSocket URL here. So because we're using WebSocket, the protocol is ws:// then I'm going to put the IP address of the RouteMaster system. I'm just going to go the local host on this, and then that port number which I had earlier, 8100. Now I just need to add a couple of controls to control the router. The main control we use is called a router bus, which is like a one button per input control, and I drag that on from the parts bin. I set the router property to attach it to the RouteMaster system. By default, that will be controlling the first output on the router. If I just click it here, we can see the router output it's controlling. Where are we? Router configuration, router output 0. So let's just run that not as a web panel, but as a native Helm-based PC panel. And you can see here that it's immediately picked up the source names that are coming from the RouteMaster system. If we switch here, you see those there. And it's also showing me the current output for the first output is source 2, this green one. So that's the basics of simple panel control single output. Let's just go and add a control to allow me to choose which output I want to switch. So if we call this, it's called an output selector, and again I drag it on and I configure it to control a particular router bus. And again, I can just go and make a couple of visual changes here. So I only want 4 buttons on this one. I want the button width to be rather larger, 100. And that's giving me a very simple kind of XY panel with 4 outputs and 6 inputs. Obviously we can change the number of inputs that we wanted here as well, maybe have 8 buttons on there. And realign those. So again, we'll just run this locally so to give you an idea of how that operates. I choose the particular output I want to control, and then I can make routes on that output. Switch to a different output. Again, it's flipping, showing me what's currently on that output, and I can choose different routing. So that's working as a native Helm panel. Let's now see make a couple of visual changes to the panel, and then I'm going to publish it up to the RouteMaster system as a web-based control panel. So we close that down. First thing I'm going to do is make the panel a bit smaller. So I'm just going to move that sidebar over, and I can then just grab the corner of the panel here and resize it smaller. I'm going to move these 2 icons up here, and I'm just going to dress up the panel by adding a label here. Drag a label on, light this up again, change the text, say RouteMaster control, and then finally I'm going to add a little logo to the bottom of the panel. And one thing we can do here is I can select all these, right click and just say align horizontally in the centers, so that'll look rather tight. Move out of the way. So now let's look at publishing this up to RouteMaster. What we should do is we should check in the Helm options that we have the RouteMaster system configured correctly. Now I think this is the URL of the web UI here rather than the WebSocket thing, so I'm just going to click test, and it's showing me that we're connected incorrectly to RouteMaster. Basically everything is copied over to a particular folder when I publish it up, so I'm just going to go say publish to, and we'll call it, again, we'll call the panel RouteMaster test. And let's now see how we actually access that panel from RouteMaster. I'm just going to go to the RouteMaster web interface here, so I'll open up my browser. Here we go. Tabs. And we'll work this down a bit and bring it into the center. So if I go to the Panels tab now in RouteMaster, it's showing me all the different panels that I've got. And I should see here my RouteMaster test panel. So I can just say open that. We'll open its scale, which will mean it will occupy the full size of the window here. And we can now see, if I just move this over here, switch to output 0. As I switch different sources in the web panel, we're seeing that video switch in the RouteMaster UI. You'll see the labels in red are showing me the name of the current source on each of these outputs. So that's a very simple introduction to building and using web-based control panels for RouteMaster.